This video shows how I replaced the fluid control valve or coolant control valve in my 2006 Prius. It has 134,000 miles on it and started throwing an error code, which I checked on the onboard diagnostics port, as it came up with error code P1121. There's some great YouTube videos that have show how to do this, and a little bit of detail that I thought might be useful if somebody wants to watch one more video. It's not that hard. It took me a few hours and a little bit of planning. It probably cost me $150 worth of parts. The basic valve is 75 bucks, and then some clamps and other things. It's worth it if you want to take it on. Helps if you have small hands. Here's a look at how it was done. Okay, we're going to start by trying to fix this P1121 error code on this 2006 Prius. First I have to get this plastic cover off. As seen on some other videos, you can actually kind of reach under these plastic clips and you can actually push them up. See if that's in focus. Actually push those right up and pull them out. Same on this one. You can reach under the clip and you can push it out and then pull it out. And this cover plate comes right off, sneaks right out of there, can be set aside. And the object of our desire here is down on the right hand edge, and it is, let's see if I can focus that, it's actually down in there. You can just barely see the back of the whitish connector and the bracket that's there, and you can see that upper hose with the white dot on it right there. You can focus it. Upper hose with the white dot on it and the white connector, and that's the device we're trying to take out and replace. I'm going to try lifting up this bracket. It's a 12mm wrench. This 12mm bolt here I'm going to take out. Looks like I need to loosen this bracket as well over here. And maybe I can lift that inverter and get it out of my way. So we've shimmed up this part of the inverter. It's only up a couple of inches, but the internet says that that's supposed to give you a little bit better access down into this hole for your hand. So let's see how that goes. According to Toyota, you need to drain the Prius coolant out in order to make this changeover for this fluid control valve. But the internet has other ideas, which is to clamp off the hoses and not drain the coolant out. It saves a ton of time. So I purchased these clamps, fluid line clamp set, off the internet. There's the part number. And it's got 4 clamps, only 2 of which proved to be useful. That was the biggest one, which is this one here, and the middle one down, the next one down, which is that one there. This is the ideal size. I bought 2 clamp sets, and that gave me 2 middle ones and 1 big one that was enough to do the test, or to do the change. Okay, so the first clamp is on the top hose there. Just get a white dot on it that I'm hopeful will help me connect up the right one when I come back to do this, so I don't swap them, which is apparently a big no-no. Alright, so it's a little hard to tell, but I got the 2 upper hoses clamped off, put them good and tight, and hopefully that will keep those from leaking. I gotta figure out where the bottom one is. Okay, I know you can't really see this, but there's a clamp clamp down on the bottom hose right now. It's down in there. Get the light on. You just barely see the back end of that clamp. Alright, we now have a nut that we need to take off of this bracket. The nut is 12mm, and it is right down there. There's one more bracket we need to, or one more bolt we need to get off of this bracket, and it's down in here. And I know it's tight, difficult to see, but the bolt is right down in there. And if I go over here, you can see the stud that's left where that other nut came. Alright, so I got the electrical connector out. You have to push a little button down on the forward side pretty hard, and you slide that thing right up, and you get that connector open. Now let's see if I can get the hoses out. I've gotten the hose clamp with this small vice grips, which you can kind of see there. Now I just gotta slide that vice grip, not the vice grip, slide the hose clamp back out of the way, kind of to the left. Okay, so if you can see it in there, I've got the hose clamp moved off to the left on the top hose. Alright, so I got that hose off, and a little bit of fluid leaked out, but not a lot. To double down on this, I stuck a cork in the end. It's a number 7 cork I picked up off of Amazon. Alright, now I've taken that top hose and I've shifted it ever so slightly, and hopefully you can see the bottom hose there. There's the open black plastic connector for the top, and you can now see the hose clamp for the bottom. I'm going to try to get that out of the way. Okay, I've got the vice grip, the needle nose vice grips on that lower hose clamp, and it's now out of the way. I gotta see if I can get that hose off of there. Okay, so that's now the lower of the two hose clamps, lower of the two hoses. It's now off. You can kind of see both openings of the plastic housing. Just look there. It's not easy to see, but the two hoses are off. One more to go. Okay, so I've taken the whole assembly and moved it to the left, the passenger side of the car, and now I can kind of see, there's the connector, but I can kind of see the underside hose and its hose clamp. And I'm going to try to release that one, and you can kind of see now where that lower clamp went in. That was a bit of a bear. Alright, I got that hose off, but now I've got this conundrum of getting the old module out. I think a lot of other people have taken this valve out through the bottom. I'm going to see if I can get out through the top. Alright, okay, I flipped this upside down. Still can't seem to get it out. It's not upside down, I guess, because that's the side, but the side is now facing up. Still can't get it out. Alright, I've rotated this just a little bit more, and I may have got it out. You can see that's the connector there, the white connector, and the two side ports are on this side, and I think I've just about finagled it out in that gap in the aluminum inverter housing. Alright, everyone else on the internet shows this picture. I'll show it too. I'm not sure if I believe it, but if I look down through one of these ports, it looks like that valve is not in the proper position. Seems sort of half open, half closed, maybe broken, I don't know. If I look at the new one, I just see all white. Maybe that's just because it's fully closed, and maybe that's what the other one's supposed to look like. I don't know, but there is some difference there. Maybe I'll open the broken unit up later and see what I can see. Okay, so the old unit is out, that valve body, and you can see one of the hoses there is corked off. You can see the bottom one down there that didn't cork off. Still got the clamp on it that's keeping the water back, but it also has a vice grip on it holding a hose clamp out of the way. So that's where we're at. I'm going to see if I can get the rest of this installed, get the valve back where it came from. Started the process of trying to stuff this back in there. You can kind of see what the orientation is that worked for me, or I hope will work for me. Okay, so I've sort of forced this around. I took that big radiator hose that's down in towards me, towards the front of the car, and I've squished it, and I rotated this subassembly down, and I think I can maneuver it into position now. Okay, this is kind of useless, but I've got that lower clamp on. I got the lower hose on and got the hose clamp into the right position, I'm pretty sure. It's challenging to get the hose fully seated. There it is, right center now.
It's challenging to get that hose fully seated and get the clamp released in the right place, the hose clamp, but I think I got it. Alright, I've put this back on the mounting post, which you can see right there in the center, so that this is oriented the way it's supposed to be. I'm going to hedge a little bit here and not put the screw and nut back on just yet, because I may need to move this again. We'll see. Alright, I installed that electrical connector. That was easy enough, just down and click. Okay, those corks maybe were a bad idea. They started to fall apart when I tried to remove them, but I used a corkscrew to get them out. So use your judgment there. I'm not sure they were needed. Anyway, so I've got the hoses all connected back up and the clamps back in place, and I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to try to get the hose clamps off and then get things bolted back in. Alright, I got the hoses all on there. You can see the white dots back on the top one, so I got that one in the right place. And I've got the bolt holding the bracket in there and the nut holding the bracket in there. The bolt was a 10mm, which I used a 1/4" drive because it's really cramped spaces down there, and the top one is 12mm, and I used a lot of extensions to get down in there to tighten that one up. Okay, so I lowered the inverter back down and I've attached the two brackets. It's got these two 12mm bolts. You can see that one right there. And then I come down here and there's a second one there. Tighten those up, getting pretty close to done. Hope it doesn't leak. Alright, we're losing light here, but we kind of got it all buttoned up. I didn't have the right plastic snaps. Those should come later. So some of these holes swelling. If you can shine a light down maybe into that hole right there. See, I didn't get the clip for that. Still need to do that. But I think we'll stay on for now. I broke some of those. And now we'll get to see if the thing leaks. Okay, this is inside of the old valve. It's not really clear what's wrong with it. It's got a motor there, and it has a worm gear, and then another worm gear that goes into some sort of encoder, some sort of 3-wire encoder. And let's look apart a little bit further, and it's got an interesting little encoder there. It's kind of weird. There's like a...
In the end, it worked out fine. The coolant leaked out. I took it on the car on a long run on the highway, and the coolant seemed to have come out. Looked for leaks, and everything seems to work. Frustratingly, the error code stopped happening just before I made the switch over, so it's hard to say that it made the error code go away, but it had been coming and going, and hopefully it's off permanently now. Honestly, don't know what was wrong with that valve, aside from it giving an error code. Maybe there's something wrong with that encoder. Hope you found this useful, and thanks for watching.